Chairman Branning, who was kind enough to come and talk to us about House Bill 127. So we're going to recognize her first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the purpose of this bill, and I'll direct your attention to line 151 in the bill, it just states that a person shall be disqualified from driving a commercial motor vehicle for life if that person is convicted of any crime under the Mississippi Human Trafficking Act or the corresponding federal act. And we, in the Transportation Committee, we added a reverse repealer because I'm working with Commissioner Tyndall to be sure that the reporting side of this is actually easily put into place. You know, he and I have been talking about how he is going to gather that information, whether they're going to require a background check and whatnot, so he just requested that reverse repealer to give a little more time to get those details situated. So with that said, I'm happy to yield for questions.
Any questions by committee members for Chairman Branning? If not, for a motion, I guess Senator Briggins.
Just a simple question. At line 151, so what this is doing is, if they're convicted, they even if it's not related to driving a 18-wheeler, they cannot drive
They cannot.
a CDL.
They're disqualified from applying for a CDL.
Okay.
That's what we're trying to work out is on the application side. How will DPS be able to confirm that? But that's what the commissioner and I are going to continue to work on.
With the reverse repeal, I would just say, I don't know that's how that reads in 151, but if we can, it makes sense to the application side.
Senator Hickman has a question.
So are we saying that after a person has done the time that they've been convicted of and all of those things, they can never apply for a CDL or make a living in that way?
That's right. That's the way it reads presently, yes.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions for Chairman Branning? If not, for a motion, title sufficient do pass as amended. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Thank you, Chairman Branning. Appreciate it. All right, and just beneath that, the last bill on the agenda, House Bill 620. This is one we had already passed. It was basically the Department of Public Safety technical amendments bill. I'm referring to as the Vice Chairman England so well explained to us. It then was doubly referred, however, so it went to appropriations. I understand what appropriations did, and some of you are on appropriations. Make sure I'm saying this correctly, is they struck the portion dealing with the life insurance purchase language that had been in the bill previously. They had some concerns about that, and I believe they felt like it was handled in a different way by appropriations, maybe in a different bill or something. So they struck that portion of the language we had placed in there. So now it has come back to us from appropriations. So not quite sure why appropriations felt that way, but they did, and I'm not on there. So if anyone is here would like to speak to that by way of explanation, I'm happy to recognize y'all. But I mean, that's what they did, and they're not meeting again. So the essence of it is we don't agree to their change, then it just dies anyway. So my so my recommendation to us would be to pass it as amended from the Appropriations Committee and just let it keep rolling through the process. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If not, the motion would be title sufficient do pass as amended. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. All right, now let's go back up to House Bill 626 and Senator Thompson. This is the scrap metal bill from the House. My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're doing a strike all to place the Senate language, which was Senator Thompson's catalytic converter bill, into the language here. So I'll recognize Senator Thompson, make sure that's what we're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's correct. We're going to we struck the House language, replaced it with the Senate language that we passed off the floor pretty easily last week, and that's the change. That's it.
All right, and Senator Hill, did you have a question?
Just a comment to the language that you put in there on the Jackson News one night last week. There was a big story on exactly what we put in that bill to try to prevent. So it's happening everywhere apparently. Big a big problem, so thank you.
Okay, any questions for Senator Thompson on the bill? If not, Senator Thompson for a motion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. All right, the next bill, House Bill 799, we're going to recognize, I'm not sure, Gregory, who in the AG's office would you like us to recognize on? All right, if you want to do that, and if you will come up to one of the microphones, some people watching online or whatever can't hear us if we don't speak into the microphone apparently. So if you will explain briefly, I think we've already done this version once before in a Senate bill, but just refresh us on 799, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chair. I'll keep this brief. This bill essentially authorizes a judge to issue a search warrant for sex offenses against children involved in every year based upon sworn testimony being communicated by telephone or other appropriate electronic means. This is a bill that's primarily needed by our cyber division. We have investigators around the state that they're traveling long distances to get these search warrants for these specific crimes. This is not only a way to save taxpayer dollars in that traveling, but it also allows all this to act quickly to get to it save somebody's life. That's all we're trying to do with this bill. This is something that our cyber crime division really needs, and I appreciate your consideration. Happy to answer your questions.
All right, questions on the bill? Questions? If not, for motion? Sufficient to pass as amended. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed, nay? The ayes have it. Thank you on that. And the next bill, which I think is going to be our last bill, is House Bill 1479. This one is also one that we're going to ask, I think, is Ms. Lipscomb here? Yeah, Whitney Lipscomb with the Attorney General's office. Ms. Lipscomb, you come right on up. You want to pull a chair up or just pick up the microphone off the holder there and hold it up?
I'm kind of laid down.
Okay.
Whitney Lipscomb in AG's office.
And I do have two amendments after she finishes the explanation that I know will be requested.
Okay. So this bill is regarding methods of execution. It does four things. First of all, it allows the Department of Corrections Commissioner the discretion to choose which method of execution is already been adopted by law to use. Lethal injection allows for a 1 or 3 drug protocol. Gives the commissioner that discretion. Currently, we only have a 3 drug protocol. Federal government or surrounding circuit states, Louisiana and Texas, allow for a 1 drug protocol. The other thing it does is ensures the confidentiality, further ensures the confidentiality of the execution team, witnesses to the execution, just so that their names are not involved in any way, shape, or form. The third thing that it does, it allows for the condemned individual to have, right now it says they can have up to 2 family members attend the execution. It takes out family members, so they can just choose 2 individuals. They want to have their attorney there, they want to have a friend or whoever, so that it doesn't restrict them to just family members. And finally, it takes out the language where it says that the execution has to take place at Parchment. Currently, females on death row, they don't have to be, the execution does not have to be carried out in Parchment. It just takes that language out. I don't think there's any contemplation to do it for Parchment right now, but just to kind of, if there was something that they wanted to carried out somewhere else. That's the 4 things that this bill does.
Thanks for that explanation. Like I said, let me go ahead and offer, the first amendment I would offer is a reverse repealer. Obviously this is a topic that hits home with a lot of people, and I've heard from some of the committee members already that would like to continue a dialogue about it if this bill is to move forward. And so I think one way of ensuring that continues to happen is through the adding of a reverse repealer to the language. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that. If not, I move we adopt a reverse repealer into this bill. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The second amendment I would like to offer, and you'll have to figure out the best wording, Mr. Samsel, but is to say that it is the policy of the state of Mississippi that lethal injection shall be the preferred method of execution. As Ms. Lipscomb was saying, the current law already has about 4 different iterations of ways to put someone to death, but it really doesn't speak to which is the preferred method. We're talking about electrocution, gas chamber, lethal injection, and firing squad. Those are the 4 delineated ways of executing someone in the state of Mississippi currently. And I'm not wanting to mess with that. I'm not adding or taking any of those away. That's already current law. But I think it's the general consensus, and I think the only one of these 4 that we even have protocols established for in the state is for the lethal injection, which is the preferred method, deemed, I think, by most people to be the most humane of the 4 methods. So I think it would be important, at least to state in the law, that it's the policy of our state that lethal injection, if you're going to have an execution, be the preferred method, so that you don't have, someone deciding, well, I would rather use this one or that one in any given death penalty situation. So, Senator Hickman.
Yeah, I had the same questions or concern. My question, I don't know, since this is already in law, do we have to carry all 4 of these methods over to this bill? Can we just give the commissioner discretion to apply lethal injection however they want to?
That's certainly within the purview of this committee to change the language. I mean, I just wanted to let everybody know we weren't, because if you read the bill, you may think, oh, we're adding all 4 of these, and we're not adding anything.
Right.
Those 4 are already in the current law. If we did nothing on this bill, those are already the 4 prescribed methods. But like you, I think no one really even thinks about that anymore. Everyone assumes that we do lethal injection only, and that's really not the law. So,
I mean, my only thing is I absolutely get that and I understand. I mean, I would hope that the commissioner wouldn't commission a firing squad, but my question is, since we're not using that and it's not necessary, why do we carry it over to this bill?
I asked the exact same similar question, and the answer is, there are a lot of companies that produce drugs. I don't want to name the companies, but pharmaceutical companies that produce these drugs that states use as part of the death penalty cocktail of drugs. And many of those are coming under a lot of public pressure to stop selling states said drugs for that specific purpose. And so if you eliminate any other alternative method of execution, and then you have a situation where no pharmaceutical company would sell the state of Mississippi a drug to be used, you essentially are doing away with the death penalty, even though it's still on the books, because there's no way of carrying it out. So my suggestion is if you want to eliminate a couple of them, I have no problem with whatever you want to do, but I just don't want us to limit it to just one and then effectively have that one not be able to be used because you can't get the drugs for it.
Well, I would just, this is my final comment. I mean, I like the language, and I'm sorry I forgot the person that presented his name. I like the language that she used. There are 3 different types of, injection that maybe we're giving. I think this bill gives the beginning part that I operate gives the commissioner discretion at what to use. So by not including it here, we wouldn't be taking it out of law. We would just be saying we're giving the commissioner discretion at what cocktail to use. And I think if we can find some or amend the language to say that, that would make me happy. And just as a final comment, I mean, I wouldn't mind if we could kill people. So if they didn't sell us the drugs,
and I
it would be fine with me.
I understand. All right, Senator Barnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hope I'm hearing this correctly. That is, we're not trying to take away any means of electrocution right now, right? Whether it be firing squad or lethal injection or whatever it may be, all of those will still be in place. And we're not trying to change any of that.
Unless someone wants to make an amendment to do that, then if somebody wants to amend that to do that, then we certainly will take that up. But if your question is in the current language, we're not doing any of that. That's correct. Senator Wiggins.
My question, and this may go to council, under current law, if those options are in current law, who has the discretion at this point to decide those?
Or we can ask Ms. Lipscomb if she has researched that.
When the current law is structured, that it would be, there's not necessarily an option, the first option, is objection and say, unless it's unavailable or unconstitutional. So it probably, it would be a combination of our office and Department of Corrections to prove unavailability and we have to defend the constitutionality, but it would be, I'm sure there would be.
Well, okay. My question is, under current law now, who makes that decision?
What's available for Department of Corrections.
Department of Corrections.
That makes the decision, they carry out execution. So they would.
No, I know that, but, okay, let's say you can't get the drugs, okay, and if firing squad is an option, who makes the decision to go to the firing squad under current law?
It would be the Department of Corrections under current law. Right now, under the current law, the way it states, they would have to prove that the legal objection is unavailable to the state that they can procure drugs. Department of Corrections is who secures the drugs, and then they would go to the next method. And I'm sure there'd be litigation over that.
Okay, let me ask another, by the way, I'm with Senator Barnett. I'm glad we're not changing things, but in line 8 and 9, the sole discretion with the commissioner is to decide which procedure to use. Is that right?
Yes.
That's all we're doing, not to. Okay, but it still has to be the juries and all that make that decision whether they should get it.
Yes, I mean, these are individuals who've already been sentenced to a punishment like that. And they're at the point where they've exhausted all their post-conviction appeals. It doesn't change any of the appeals that are available to a convicted individual or anything like that.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Sparks had, I think, the next question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I think as it is written, there was no one who chose because you had to run through the 4 issues. If the first one was not available, then it went to the next one by default by statute. And so it doesn't add any types. It was just a default from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 prior.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
That may answer my question, and that was set out by statute, right?
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay, which that statute is determined by the legislature and elected body, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, in language 8 and 9, then we're giving that a power to one person in the state of Mississippi, i.e. the commissioner.
And I have an amendment to offer at the proper time.
Well, then
deals
that
with
amendment may solve my
Okay.
question. Thank you.
I think it would. All right.
Okay.
I think somebody else, Senator Simmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I guess Whitney can answer this. When was the last time we had an execution?
Ms. Lipscomb, the last execution was very recently, actually.
It was in late 2021. I believe this past year.
And what manner was used to inflict the damage?
It's a legal objection.
And before that, what was the last?
Last execution before that would have been 2012, which you get a number that year, and they were all done by legal injection. I'm not sure what the drug protocol was. So the statute was in 2017.
When was the last time we used the firing squad?
I don't know if states ever used the fire squad.
So
I think Senator Barnett had a question about
I just had an answer to this question. If I'm not mistaken, there's a gentleman now that's requested, I think he's on death row, and he's requested death by firing squad.
Senator Simmons, back to you.
So you said the actual individual requesting the firing squad, even though we never used it.
It's a free country, I guess.
Oh, it certainly is. But so I have an amendment at the appropriate time.
Okay. Let's see if there are any other questions on the amendment. If you recall, the amendment being that it's the policy of the state of Mississippi that lethal injection shall be the preferred method of execution. Any questions on that amendment first? If not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Now, I think who else? Senator Sparks had an amendment.
Yes, Mr.
You're
Chairman.
recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On line 8, where it says at the sole discretion of the Commissioner of Mississippi Department of Corrections, I would amend to at the discretion of the Commissioner of the Mississippi Department of Corrections, the Deputy Commissioner for Finance and Administration, and the Deputy Commissioner for Institutions. And the reason that you would have these three working in conjunction to determine the manner is because the Deputy Commissioner of Finance and Administration is the person who actually procures potentially the drugs that are utilized, would be able to speak to the availability, anything along those lines. And the deputy, and also would the next available item be appropriate. And the Deputy Commissioner for Institutions actually oversees the inmates, including death row, as it relates to that. And I think the three working together would be better to choose what is the best route. That would be my amendment, and I would yield any questions.
All right.
My amendment would be to delete the firing squad, and I'd like to speak on the amendment to proper time.
You are recognized to speak on your amendment.
If we've never used the firing squad as a matter of execution, and despite the rare situation that someone has requested it, I just think as the state of Mississippi, we should not be just, I mean, we should remove it out of the statute. And so you still will have three options for inflicting punishment of death in the state of Mississippi. And I will ask you to strongly support the amendment, like what I consider to be a very, very cruel and inhumane way of sentencing somebody to death. So that's my amendment.
All right, you've heard the amendment. Senator Sparks for question.
Speak on the amendment.
Yep, sure.
The four things that are in the code are already there. The purpose of this is to carry out capital punishment. This is not the bill to debate whether capital punishment is a right punishment or a wrong punishment. I would object to the amendment because there are four ways that this can be done. I am a practicing lawyer. Senator Simmons is a very good practicing lawyer. I don't think it's proper that we remove something that when they have been convicted, exhausted their appeals, and have been sentenced to death, that we are going to find a way to limit the options to do that. Be my position.
Okay, any questions for Senator Simmons on his amendment? Everyone understands the amendment? All right. To close, Senator Simmons.
And likewise, Senator Sparks, attorney as well. And I'm just simply saying it does not take away from the goal of the actual statute. They've been sentenced to death, then it still will be carried out. The only thing I was just asking the committee to consider if we would just eliminate a manner that we've never used. And so, thank you.
All right. All in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
No.
believe the noes have it. The noes have it. All right, any other questions on the bill as it has been amended? If not, for motion, Senator Sparks.
Title sufficient to pass as amended.
For the motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion to rise and report.
Rise and
All
report.
right, thank you, guys.
I mean, I was quick. A lot quicker than I was supposed to.